what I found at Target ahead of schedule. Oh man, look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. So here we have the Kingdom Leader Class Galvatron, and I'm going to start right off by telling you my thoughts on this. This is probably the best mainline Transformers figure I've ever had in my hands in a long time. Well, I guess that's not the same as ever, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So yeah, Leader Galvatron. Now, of course, I've got this effects part plugged onto him that actually did not come with him. This came with Rodimus, but I thought that looked cool. So yeah. So here we have Galvatron in all of his mad purple glory. So we're going to start off with two of the elephants in the room. One, he is a leader class figure, but he's slightly bigger than a Voyager class figure. That's a turnoff for a lot of people because you're paying $50. You know, the thing is, when you get this guy in hand, he is super solid feeling and weighty. Like he, let me bring something out here. So here we have Grimlock. You can see Grimlock is quite a bit bigger than Galvatron, and they cost the same. But here's the thing. Grimlock here feels hollow, and he feels light. He feels good, but he feels kind of hollow and light, and he's got a very simple transformation. This guy feels like he might weigh the same as this guy, if not maybe just a hair heavier, and is a much more complex transformation. This feels like a $50 figure. This feels like it should have been $30. I'm not kidding. I know that's weird. I know that's weird. And it's a touchy subject because, you know, everything is costing more. Nobody's getting paid more. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of hard to justify spending the money. But this guy feels so worth it. Let's get him out of the way. So that was elephant in the room number one. But elephant in the room number two is his shoulders. So if you look on my guy here, his shoulders look fine. But that's because I ripped these apart and put them back together. When you get this guy, chances are his shoulders are going to be sitting low like this, only without the pin facing forward. This is how they will normally come in the box. But if you look right here, you see he's got some little sculpted detail, and he's got this right here, but it doesn't match the rest of the shoulders. If you do what I did and pop that pin out and flip them around, that sculpted detail now lines up exactly with the shoulders. See that? So unfortunately, he's also a $50 figure who is assembled wrong. And given that those shoulders have been that way for a long time in a lot of the promotional images that we've seen, that means they've been wrong for a good while. Now, as I said, I did repair this, but it's very hard to recommend trying to do the same thing on your own because these are not screwed together. They are pinned in, and you've got to basically try to force this apart to get those pins to pop out in order to get this to come apart. And you can see I did get a little bit of stress marks right here, very, very tiny. Did not affect anything, but it's a good possibility you could damage your figure if you try that on your own. Far worse than just a few stress marks. So you can do it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So with all of that out of the way, right off the bat, you see the main accessory that he comes with. He does come with the Matrix of Leadership on a chain. Focus. There we go. Now this is the same Matrix that came with Optimus and Rodimus, just slightly different paint. And of course, it is a separate piece from said chain. So you can pop it right off there. So you just plugs in with the pen. The chain is not super solid, but also not super flexible. It's a good rigid, you know. And it just sits over his neck, as you saw me kill him. You saw me kill him. Again, I can't go through a single one of these without doing that. I just can't. I can't do it. I got to murder every toy. But yeah, he just over his neck right there. So let's go over his basic articulation and details. And oh my God, these details are awesome. I mean, they just are. Look at all that. I mean, that is that. I don't like calling these mini masterpieces because in my mind they're not, but this is like masterpiece quality Galvatron. So heads on a slight ball joint, you can get a little bit of these are also articulated. Hey, you want them to be like shoulder pads like the comic book Galvatron, you can do that. You can do that. You can do that. You can do all kinds of that. We got full rotation here, tight in and out here, rotation here, double jointed elbow there. You got rotation at there. These are meant to plug in right there to lock those arms, but there's no point in doing that because then you don't get that rotation there. You got a waist swivel here. These and his back do kind of get in the way of that sometimes. You kind of have to sort of move them around. Hip skirts get out of the way, as well as those little crotch flap that gets out of the way that's not actually in the way. You can go that far, all more than the full splits. Thigh rotation, back that far. Single jointed knee, pretty good range there. You also do have the ankle tilt. And what's cool is because of the transformation, he gets this little second piece in here that kind of makes it look like a piston, which is kind of cool. He does have heel spurs. You don't need them. you legit do not need them. He stands pretty good on his own, even with me fumbling around with him. I totally forgot his guns. Yeah, I forgot his guns. So yeah, this is gun made out of his spaceship, the Revenge. The ship the Unicron gave Galvatron. Yeah. You get two of these. And I kind of dig these as guns because they kind of make me think of the G1 Megatron gun. I mean, I know it's a completely different shape and all, but it has a similar feel to it. But of course, it's not quite the full Revenge because they shaved off the top here. He doesn't have the little point in the back. But they did put little tabs in these so you can tab them together. Now, unfortunately, of course, they are in gray plastic instead of in purple, but yeah, they do look pretty good, and they look good as guns. And he's got places all over him where you can peg these into them. Like you can take them. He's got little tabs right here on his back. Oop. If you don't want him holding them as guns, you can either plug them in right here or plug them in right here, whichever way floats your boat. Floats your Revenge ship. Yeah. And you can do all kinds of that. Pull those back off here. And now, let's get into some actual comparisons. So right off the bat, let's just start things off with the last, and I still say decent, Galvatron that we got. But it just pales in comparison. So, I mean, if you have this guy, he's still a decent Galvatron. He's more IDW-ish, particularly if you can get one of those 3D printed helmets that give him the IDW helmet. But, I mean, he's a little loose. He's a little spindly. And my repro label stickers are just peeling like mad, but he's still a decent Galvatron, and, you know, for a while we thought this is all we were going to get, because it's been a long time since Galvatron was Galvatron and not just a purple repaint of Megatron, but yeah, there we go. Alright, here he is next to Hot Rod. Doesn't want to focus. There we go. Yeah. You can see how that works there. Yeah. And then let's get a let's get a good group shot going here. Oh. With his right hand man and his left hand man. Although technically I just called the left hand man the one I put on his right hand. But hey, we're not picky around here. And yeah, these look really good together. Let's transform this guy up into his very well done, in my opinion, cannon mode. So, if I can get that to focus there. Okay. So, the gun is designed to go here on these pegs. You can see he's got a little groove right there. If it'll focus, there we go. Little groove right there on the side of that, and he's got actually a little notch right there to go into said groove. But he does still have the ports in several places. So if you want to, I mean, you want to stick him, you want to stick him on the bottom of his foot here, you can totally do that. You can have him blasting off that way if you and of course one on his back. So you can stick that gun in anywhere. But you want to go ahead and just pull that apart. And let's just do it. And there you have it. Galvatron in his very, very awesome, very good looking G1 cannon mode. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. He does sit at a very slight angle, but not too big. Of course, you can futz with these however you want to sort of, change that if you so desire. But yeah. Now, of course, it's not perfectly cartoon accurate. I mean, because you still have all of this sitting back here, and technically the cannon should end like right here, and then you have the little, I don't know what they actually call these things on actual cannons, because in case you didn't know, this is basically like a sci-fied up version of an actual old school cannon. I'll put a picture right here just so you can see what I'm talking about. But even with that, I mean, look at that. That's awesome. They even managed to get that whole, he's a purple robot with gray details who turns into a gray cannon with purple details, which I think is really cool. I do really dig that. The only thing on this guy I don't like in his cannon mode is the other half of his gun being right up here. I think that looks a little weird, and you have all this space right here. I know, his hip hinges are in here, so you probably couldn't have put it there, but, I mean, you've got this peg here. It would have been fine, I think, to put like a little peg hole right there in here and have that sitting underneath there. I think that would have been a lot nicer. Just personal opinion, minor nitpick. Again, if you have these well, of course you'll have these because you bought the thing, dude. But you can plug them in here on these tabs right there if you so desire. And if you take your matrix and you want him to have it, you can just thread the cannon right through there, and there's a tab on the bottom of the chain that'll go right there into his chest. So you can do all kinds of that. Yeah. Man, and I can't gush over this thing enough. I mean, this is such an amazingly well done figure. Not just because it's finally our good Galvatron that we've been waiting for forever, but it's just a super solid feeling figure, a weighty figure, hefty with, a detailed transformation. He just feels like a premium transformer. That's the best thing I could describe it as. It's a premium transformer. So he legit feels like a $50 transformer, despite the fact we're used to having $50 transformers being much bigger than this guy. But he makes up for it. I can't stress that enough. If you're on the fence for this guy because of the size and the price, don't necessarily pass him up. I say necessarily because I think maybe you might wait a little bit because of the whole upside down shoulder ring things. I'm seeing people are saying that they're finding some of these in store with the shoulders flipped the other way. So I don't know if that's a running change that somebody figured out, or if maybe it's technically a factory mistake where they put the things on upside down, but putting them on upside down actually makes them right side up. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, again, I highly recommend this guy. If you can find him and you're okay with the shoulders as they are, I mean, you can turn them upside down. I've seen people, just twist the thing around. Yeah, he's out there. Start looking around. Target seem to be getting these guys early. Even on their website, their pre-orders have been saying July 1st, whereas everybody's been saying towards the end of August and September. So Target, as much as I hate, Target with their exclusives and whatnot, you probably know what I'm talking about. They're the place to hunt these guys down. I definitely recommend them. Anyway, that's enough gushing for me for one day. I'm sure you're sick of hearing my voice. I'm sick of talking to you, so bleh. I don't know. Don't ask. I don't know. Until next time, y'all have a good one.